The sperm cell structure helps it perform its function, which is to pass on the biological information to fertilize the egg cell. Its structure is made of two parts, the head and the tail. The head stores the necessary information and the tail gives it movement to swim to the egg. Red blood cell structure helps it perform its function, which is to carry oxygen. Its structure has no nucleus and has a large surface area, which enables it to carry more oxygen.
Red blood cells have structures as plates, and as plates carry food, they carry oxygen.
Nerve cell structure helps it carry out its function, which is to transmit and store information. Its structure has many connecting side branches, which help it receive and transfer messages to other cells.
Its function is like a computer or a laptop. It transmits and stores information.
Ciliated windpipe cells also have a structure that help it carry out its function, which is to keep the trachea clear of dust, etc. Its structure has tiny hairs that move from side to side, and these hairs sweep mucus, dust, bacteria, and more to clear the trachea.
Ciliated windpipe cells are like brooms, and as brooms clean the floor, ciliated windpipe cells clean the cells.
White blood cell structure helps it carry out its function, which is to engulf and destroy bacteria, because its structure has cytoplasm that can flow.
White blood cells are like soaps, and as soaps kill bacteria, white blood cells also kill bacteria.
Muscle cell structure helps it perform its function, which is to produce force and motion. Their structure contains protein filaments that slide past one another, producing a contraction that changes both the length and the shape of the cell to make it move.
Neurons are different from other cells in the body because neurons have two special cell parts, which are the dendrites and the axons. Dendrites bring electrical signals to the cell body, and axons take the information away. The difference between the nervous system and the endocrine system is that the nervous system responds rapidly towards the stimulus, while the endocrine system responds slowly by secreting hormones that travel through the circulatory system to the target organ. To be more simple, the nervous system is like a rabbit, while the endocrine system is like a tortoise. One responds very fast, and the endocrine system is very slow. The electrical impulses are the means of communication in the nervous system, while the hormones are the chemical messengers of the body. The nervous impulses are transmitted through the neurons, which are the cells, while hormones are transmitted through the blood vessels, through your blood. The response for the nervous system is temporary and it's reversible, so it can go back, while the response for the endocrine system is not reversible. Thank you.
A hot flame touches your finger. This is the stimulus. Then the heat sensors in your skin, which in this case are the receptors, which sense the heat. So a sensory neuron from the skin will be sent to the coordinator, the spinal cord, where it makes a quick, rapid decision and sends it to the motor neuron. The motor neuron moves from the spinal cord to the effector, which are hand muscle in this case. Then, when the motor neuron reaches the effector, the response happens, and the hand is removed from the hot flame. This is the process of reflex arc in the situation of hot flames touching your finger. Another example is when you see a cup of water and you are extremely thirsty. The water is the stimulus and your eyes are the receptors, in this case because they sense through vision of the cup of water. So a sensory neuron would be sent to the coordinator, the spinal cord. Over there, a relay neuron passes the information through the spinal cord, where it makes a quick rapid decision and sends it to the motor neuron. The motor neuron moves from the spinal cord to the effector, which are arm muscles in this case. Then, when the motor neuron reaches the effector, the response happens, and your arm lifts the cup of water to your mouth. This is the process of reflex arc in this situation of seeing a cup of water when you are thirsty. The last example is when you are walking in a garden and sense something squishy, like a large bug under your feet. In this case, the bug under your feet is the stimulus, and the sensors in your skin are the receptors because they sense something squishy beneath your feet. So a sensory neuron from the skin will be sent to the coordinator, the spinal cord. Over there, a relay neuron passes this information through a spinal cord, where it makes a quick rapid decision and sends it to the motor neuron. The motor neuron moves from the spinal cord to the effector, which are leg muscles in this case. Then, when the motor neuron reaches the effector, the response happens, and the foot is removed quickly from on top of the bug. This is the process of reflex arc in the situation of accidentally stepping on a bug.
As we are all stressed right now due to the coronavirus, our adrenal glands secrete the hormones adrenaline and cortisol into our bloodstream, which causes our blood sugar levels to spike, which causes increased heart rate and high blood pressure. Usually your body can control its hormones. It's self-limited, but when the body is always stressed, the fight or flight response stays on this long-term activation, which causes disruption to homeostasis, which puts our body in risk of many health problems, including digestive problem, headaches, heart disease, sleep problems, anxiety, and depression. This is why stress is very harmful to our body, so we need to distract ourselves from the negative issues that are happening in our world. Another hormone which contrasts completely with adrenaline and cortisol is dopamine. Dopamine is the happy hormone. As once it's released, the person feels happy. However, if dopamine is released excessively, it could cause hallucinations and schizophrenia. Dopamine affects movement, memory, focus, and mood. Another hormone that we'll be talking about is insulin. Insulin is a hormone that adjusts your blood sugar level, so it prevents it from getting too high, which is called hyperglycemia, or too low, hypoglycemia. Insulin is secreted when your body detects that your high blood sugar is very low or very high. Thank you.
Everybody, I'm going to talk about nerve cells, which are also known as neurons. In your brain there are over 85 million neurons, and these tree-like branches are known as the dendrites, which pick up signals through the body. And this green circled part is the nucleus, which acts as the control center of the cell, also known as the brain of the cell. Signals that pass from the nucleus go from the nucleus to the axon, which is the yellow part, and from the axon they go to the axon eminal, which allows the cell to connect with other neurons. So again, now we're going to talk about the animal cells. The animal cell is the most basic unit of life for animals, humans, and insects. Now this blue part is the nucleus, which is the control center for the cell. This purple part is the Golgi, and it controls anything that goes inside or outside of the cell. Now this orange part is the cell membrane, which separates the inside of the cell from the outer environment. Now there's a rough endoplasmic reticulum, and it stores proteins, but the smooth endoplasmic reticulum produces lipids. And the mitochondria, which is the yellow and blue part, it's the powerhouse of the cell. It produces energy to make the cell work. And these are the centrosomes, these yellow part, and it produces microtubules. Now we're going to compare between an animal cell and the nerve cell. Now as you can see, an animal cell is round shaped, and the structure of a nerve cell is like a tree with lots of branches. Also throughout the body there are more nerve cells than animal cells. And as you can see, both have nucleuses, which means they both contain DNA. Also animal cell has a cell membrane, but a nerve cell doesn't, as you can see. And it also has a cytoplasm, which is a fluid that all cell particles swim through, but as you can see also, a nerve cell doesn't.